All right, so this is bolstering and draping for transitioning into sideline. First, we like to give our clients a head pillow. Here you go. Then you're gonna take your pillow and you're gonna grab the sheet and you're gonna flip it under the sheet and blanket, and I'm gonna have you go ahead and turn and face me, so the client's gonna face me. And then we're gonna have them snuggle the pillow. So this is gonna go snuggle that way. We want it ideally under their lower leg as well. So this helps keep their hips stacked. Then before we start draping, I wanna make sure they're nice and covered up here. His hips are in a good position to start, but I'm gonna want his shoulders closer to me. So I'll put my hands on the table at the hips and where I want the shoulders to be, and I'll ask him to keep his hips where they are and scoot his shoulders back towards me so he feels my hand. Perfect. And then if it's more comfortable, you can also bring your knee closer to your chest. Sometimes that feels a little more comfy for the client on the table. So now that they're nice and secure here, what you can't see, we'll show this in another video, is I'm gonna take my hand at the hips. I'm going to pin the draping. I'm gonna take this bottom corner of the sheet here and I'm going to peel this up right to the point of the shoulder. So you'll see there's a fold here that goes to, and you can see that line here. So now there's a triangle exposure of the back. I'm then going to pull the draping up. You can see it's being pulled from below to be able to then fold that top part of the triangle. And so what you can't see is it's just right along the side of his body. And then for the tucking of the hip, we like to grab the bottom sheet, make that secure, and tuck the top sheet and blanket into that. He should feel nice and secure at his hips. The back is exposed. I can now do sideline work on his back if I would like. With a female, if I wanted to do more sideline on the intercostals, obliques, occipital or iliac crest, I would have the client bring their arm out, and I'm gonna grab the sheet and blanket and pull that right up so that's kind of tucked in there. So this is now being held secure by them, and I can fold this back a little more and expose a little more of that side body to do some sideline work on the side body. The undraping of this is peeling this back, pulling that out from under there, and if the client would like to tuck their arm back in, they can. Otherwise, they can just also stay in this position. For the draping of the lower body, we're gonna start down here at the bottom of the table with the blanket. We're gonna pull this across the body up here, kind of fold it in half. So this foot is gonna be uncovered for this moment because we're actually going to undrape the lower leg and hip. I'm then going to fold the blanket back more. And we're gonna start making a U shape here with the blanket to create that barrier. Starting with the sheet across the table, I'm gonna pull it all the way across towards me. The foot is going to be exposed for a moment. And this is where we're going to fold this blanket back, or the sheet back over the blanket. And we're going to work this blanket so that there's lots of extra sheet and blanket around this hip, making sure we're not pulling too far from the front. I'm gonna tuck just under the thigh here and under the thigh there to help secure this. And I'll expose, now the whole thigh is exposed for working sideline on the hip and thigh. And if I am gonna work lower leg, I can expose the lower leg and foot, or I will just cover back up with sheet and blanket if this is the area that I'm focusing on in sideline. I can also, to keep them warmer and for more focused area, cover the lower part of the thigh. This blanket is a bit bulky over here. I'm gonna unfold some of this and pull that down, exposing more of the hip and glute, bringing this up with me. so that I can work on just this hip and glute area from sideline. The undraping of this is getting this outer edge, pulling it out and across, straightening the sheet out, and bringing the black blanket back over. When transitioning to the other side from sideline, I always tell the client to scoot towards me first because they're right on the edge of the table. So I want to make sure they're not going to roll backwards off the table. Make sure that they're secure here. I'm going to then take the snuggle pillow out. Make sure that there's enough sheet and blanket here. I'm going to have them wait for me. I will grab the sheet and blanket on the other side, put the snuggle pillow under so it's all secure and on here, pulling the sheet and blanket to make sure their upper body is covered, and having them go ahead and turn over and face me again, making sure that their body does not bring the sheet and blanket with them, exposing their backside. And then they'll go back into snuggling the pillow, getting it between their legs, all the way so that they're secure and comfortable. Checking their starting position, I might have him scoot his hips back towards me a little bit more and his shoulders back towards me as well. Perfect. And if it's comfortable, you can bring your knee a little closer to your chest. Perfect. So from here, I'm going to pin the sheet and blanket, creating this triangle fold right to the back of the shoulder. From here, I'm going to pull more sheet and blanket up the table and fold this back to create more of a rectangular opening back here. Then, grabbing the bottom sheet, I will tuck under the hip, making sure that that's secure, exposing the back body. If I wanted to do more intercostal, even axillary work on the sideline, I would have them bring their arm out. Perfect. And cuddle that. And then they can, pulling the sheet through when they do so to help keep them secure there. This allows me to create a little more space in that side body to be able to work intercostals through here, even into the serratus anterior, obliques, and attachments on the iliac crest. Undraping is pulling it back, untucking here at the hip. They can retuck their arm or leave it out, whatever is more comfortable for them. We're going to come across the table, grabbing the bottom of the blanket, folding it up to the waist, then bringing it across diagonally, creating that blanket barrier. Then grabbing the sheet, bringing it up, exposing the foot and knee. And this is where we'll bring the sheet together as we pull this back, tucking it into the thigh, flipping, scooting, creating that space in the thigh. If we want to get more into the glute, we'll be bringing more of the sheet and blanket around here. This will be a little bit thick for this process. So I'm going to untuck some of that, come to the correct side, it makes it easier. So pulling that back to expose here, bringing the sheet and blanket, or the sheet together, and exposing that hip. So now I can work just the hip area. The end draping would be pulling it back across. And straightening out the blanket. It is safest to make sure that the client has moved back to the center of the table before you step out of the room, removing the snuggle blanket and having them lie on their back to confirm that they're safe is recommended.